Okay.
Hi, everybody. I am Nina Bosky, and with me is a wonderful actress who has been with us since the beginning, our first pilot episode. She is our wonderful actress that plays Gladys, which is Marilyn's mother. Her name is Kristina Martin, and welcome to our cast interview, and I'm so excited to have you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Before we had you play Gladys, because we didn't know exactly how this was going to roll out, our first episode, you actually play several of the voices. You play a nurse, and you with a, I think it's a Brooklyn accent, right? Is it the Brooklyn accent? Yes. And then we also have you playing Dr. Mary and Kris, which was obviously a very important part in Marilyn's life. So
And that was a trickier accent with her.
yeah, it's a very tricky accent, and not an easy role to play. And also, you know, you're playing a role that, you know, in this case at least, Marilyn isn't too happy with Dr. Kris, as we soon find out in episode 1. So tell us a little bit about yourself, because have you always been a voiceover actress? You're an actress too. Is that correct?
Yes. No, I haven't done a lot of VO, voiceover work. But yeah, I've been acting for several years now. Yeah.
Well, you can definitely tell, because when we asked you, can you play it this way? And then all of a sudden you would, and then can you play it this way? And then you would, right? And with Gladys, though, it was an interesting role. What did you think of this role getting into it? Because at least from my opinion, from the outside looking in initially, it's an intense role.
Extremely. Yeah. But I looked at it as just a juicy part, because she was so human and she tried so hard, and her, I guess, disability just kept on getting in the way, and it was just so great. She was just highs and lows. It was fantastic for an actor.
Oh, and definitely. I mean, and some of those scenes, you know, we both would get them and we'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is scene, right? How are we going to do this? How was it, given the fact that you're not necessarily a voiceover actress, having to make this character come to life with just your words? How easy or hard was that for you?
I guess it's quite similar for me. I don't know about other actors, but you know, you put forth what you worked on, and you take your direction if they wanted a different way, or if you wanted a different way. So yeah, I mean, I think we did a lot of our scenes together, and you could see me kind of like sitting in my chair and moving my arms and waving my arms. I mean, I just try to embody her as much as I could, not just her voice.
Well, we're going to give you a little behind the scenes, because I haven't promoted it that much. But for those of you that are watching this cast interview, Kristina plays Gladys, but I play Grace. So through a I thought it was going to be like 1 or 2 lines I had of Grace. And I thought, oh, great. Okay, well, I can do this, right? But then it got a little bit more intense, a little bit more intense, a little bit more intense, but also a lot of fun too. There were some fun scenes that you and I had as Gladys and Grace. What was your favorite scene in playing this role?
I did really like when we were just, you know, normal friends, and we would go out to the bars and everything. That was really fun with you. But I think, as an actor, my favorite was when, unfortunately, she had so much trouble with her schizophrenia, and she just went off the rails. And it was nice to feel safe enough with you in that room and just, you know, let it fly.
You know, it was really interesting, because a lot of times when we were in the room with the actors, and including yourself, and even with us, sometimes those scenes, to come down off those scenes, were pretty intense even for you and I. So you can only imagine if that was really happening in your own life. And even for yourself playing Gladys, how scared she must have felt, not knowing what's really going on with her. And then somebody like Grace, loving her the way that she did, but also realizing that, wow, you know what, my friend really does have a lot of issues here, and I can't seem to help her.
Mm-hmm.
too. So that was really an interesting one. What I love too is that whole time, especially you and I are in the 1920s, right? The roaring 20s. And, I have this vision when I was doing those scenes of what it must have been like back in the day as film cutters. And, at least with Grace, she was kind of this flamboyant kind of wanting to be in front of the camera, not necessarily in back of the camera, and yet you were the pretty one, right? You know what I mean? You're the one that really should have been in front of the camera. So, is there something that you learned in this podcast that you were a little surprised about that you didn't know going in?
I knew of a lot of Marilyn's troubles, but I did not know her mother that's where she got it from. I didn't know anything about her mother until I dived into the part. Yeah.
Yeah, and her grandmother as well. If you think about that scene with Della, and Marilyn talks about it in her biography about, in the crib at a young age, with her grandmother as well. So, I think the thing is for us is shedding light on it, not from a kind of a exploitive way, but for a way to also educate people that if they have mental illness and it runs in their family, it doesn't mean that you're going to get it or you're going to have it, but to know the precautions and the warning signs so that you can deal with it in a methodical and a practical way versus back then when they didn't have the tools, the resources, or even the information to be able to deal with these types of diseases. They were much more antiquated back in the day.
Yeah, I think Marilyn was a real pioneer to bring it, in front of people and not be ashamed of it and, let it be known she was getting help. I commend her for that.
So if there's one thing that you'd like people to get out of this podcast, whether it be your role or Marilyn, what would you like them to get out of the podcast?
Oh gosh. There's help if you need it. Hopefully you're entertained at the same time. I guess just those two things for sure.
What's so interesting too about this podcast, we didn't know exactly what was going to come out of it as well. And it really does take you back to that old Hollywood time. I know for myself, there's times that I think, wow, it feels like I'm going back to old Hollywood for just a moment. And it's really kind of fun. It's because I can visualize it while I'm listening to it, so.
When we were working on it, I felt the same way, but then hearing the final product with the music and everything included, it really takes you there.
Well, this is a multi-season podcast, so I'm sure you are going to have quite a big role as the seasons roll out because, obviously Gladys affected Marilyn's life in so many ways. And also, I'm sure we might have a few more voices out of you besides just the one from Dr. Kris and who knows what all come out of Kristina Martin, very talented actress. And we're so excited to have you as part of the cast and part of this wonderful first season of Marilyn Behind the Icon.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.